Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is my audience research project and presentation over the different audience streaming habits and genres that they use when they're watching. So first I want to get into what topics I chose. So with it, I chose to do a little bit more in-depth research and a better look at audience streaming services, sort of like Netflix and Hulu, and sometimes even the network free streaming for if you miss a show, you can watch it the next day on their service. So I just really wanted to look more in depth at how often people actually use streaming services and which kinds of services they use, like the Netflix or Hulu versus the free streaming service that the network provides a few days after the show actually gets aired. And I also kind of wanted to look more into what genres individuals watch, and with that what they end up watching most, like sci-fi or action, horror, etc. So I went in and I actually did a little bit more research over the issue, and with this, I actually learned that a lot fewer people ages 18 to 29 are actually watching TV. So more of them are using the streaming services and watching their programs online, and typically in the last 5 years, they've ended up watching the online programs. And with that, I even asked in my survey, hey, who watches what shows? And they're actually watching more of the shows that have already finished being aired on TV. So they're almost re-watching shows they used to watch on TV live, which was really interesting. And so with that, with the genres that they're actually watching, the older generations are still watching a lot of programs like the news, both world and local, whereas the younger age groups are actually watching more comedy shows. That was actually the highest rated genre in the survey that people said they watched the most, whereas the next one was sci-fi shows, so that includes things like Star Trek, Futurama, Stranger Things, etc. But it also includes shows like the Marvel shows and movies and things like that, which is actually, the Marvel shows are online streaming shows, and so it's really interesting that people watch that more. Excuse me. So next we wanted to look at how often these 18 to 29-year-olds are actually watching streaming services. So when I actually asked people on a survey, they ended up saying that most of them used it daily. So there was only one person who said that they didn't use a streaming service, but they also didn't have a subscription to that streaming service. So they were the only person that actually said, hey, I don't watch it. I don't care to. I don't want to spend the money on that. And it was really interesting because most people actually have streaming services as well as cable and TV, even if they don't have it on their own. So next I wanted to look at to see how many of them actually have multiple streaming services, and they had to pay for it. And it was interesting. Most of the people said that they'd be less likely to have a second streaming service where they have to pay for it. But when you look at the overall numbers, there's actually more people that were interested in having multiple streaming services, or were more likely to have two or more. But the majority of the people said, hey, that's not happening. I'm not spending my money on that. But with this, it was really interesting to see that they actually ended up where it was only one person said that they might watch shows on abc.com if they missed their show the day before. So all of these people that are watching online and are waiting for their shows to come out on these online services, they aren't watching their shows on the free streaming services that networks provide, like ABC, My30, Fox, and things like that, and CW as well. So a lot of the most popular shows like Big Bang Theory, people can watch the next day if they go into there. But only one of the 15 people that responded to this question on the survey ended up saying that they would actually do that. Rather, they would wait until after the entire series has come out, and it's about 6 months after the seasons come out, so then they'll watch it on their Netflix or Hulu accounts. Next, I want to talk about how often they actually watch programs. So with this, I actually looked at how often people watch shows during the day, and most of the people said they watched it for 2 hours a day, roughly, whereas the next highest number was actually 4 hours a day. So people generally watch quite a bit of TV shows, and with that, we didn't ask how long the actual episodes they were watching were, if they were half-hour shows or hour-long shows or whatever, but they did say they watch about 2 hours. So depending on how long these shows are, they're watching more than one episode a day of whatever program they're watching. And it's really interesting to see that, because not a lot of people actually watch programs on their TVs anymore. And we actually ended up asking about this, and I ended up asking what device they use for watching their programs, and 9 out of the 15 people actually said they use their phone or a mobile device to watch it. So people are pulling out their tablets or their phones, and they're watching Netflix and Hulu on there, rather than just watching their shows live as they're being aired on their TV. That being said, however, we do have a lot of people using their computer to watch shows, and they're streaming their programs through there, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're streaming completed shows or series. It's just that they're watching on their phone or their computer most, and some people actually don't use any of the above programs or devices to watch their shows, which is really interesting to see as well, because all of their different programs are being aired somewhere, but yet they aren't watching it on their smart TV or console or computer or a mobile device. They're just watching it live on TV, or they're not streaming their programs at all. So basically, that was my entire presentation, and it was interesting to learn that with all of this information, both from doing initial research and doing a little bit more in-depth look at the background of what all's happening with people's viewing habits and the genres that they watch, it was actually really interesting to learn that it all proved that audiences are streaming their videos more often than they are doing a TV or cable subscription and watching their shows through that. So they're actually going away from typical television watching habits in the early 2000s, and now people are using more streaming services that they have to pay for a monthly fee of like $10 to $15 a month versus the cost of cable and regular TV programs. And also with all of this, it's proved that not only is online streaming popular today, but it's actually going to be coming around and staying here for a long time from now. We also want to say that with online streaming, there is always going to be people that are hard set on watching TV as it was when they were younger and in the early 2000s, but online streaming is definitely here to stay and will grow even more in the years to come. And the genres that we're watching all depend on what we like and how much we want to watch it. And so that was my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.